say more hair ye ba beto ankomo no so fi baby ija eye efiada no ye share the 21st century wedding and divorce apostle keken bia or say pressure na social media so ka ho bi ebi wo ha nani abrea say obi omo asori mu ni ade internally na sorry na pressure wo hodeda ansa na nationwide so social media so agiafa na no so money a top pressure ma ba wa ne mrante ni bebre until okan bi o say cut your coat according to your material and cut coat no according to yes any size be one apostle say according to your material and say we fu so won hwe we fu kese ne ade enka say oh we share say ni ntimi there be o say hwe we fu no na make sure say oh pama ma na fete afu na manako ni bibia anti wo hwe obotuma no ahwe aware obetimi aware na dia na nkrofo e kan say se sika enni aware ni mu ana say nipa ni ni sika na say ye sebio mo ma men enka ne say ehiafo aware say ma yesi ehiafo aware a na no na etumi gina but say sika for no say lavishly no sika twegu ne spray dollars ne ade ende e ya na enche nkrofo bebre chiro ma drink e wo ho enti baby I just see ye beto aso if you near divorce part of the conversation ene ye de nkomo no abewi you apostle also.
I think say no dey can be see say one enye sika wo spend it and the tresa wari bigina na engina no me no na be chirchim say wari be your three foundations as wari be osi our spiritual foundation should be solid, psychological foundation and our sociological foundation. Each foundation be as a wrong hour in a big and it's our and no found cross so be spend this car because many would say meaning research will be about minimum warriors so crowdfunding here warriors are good and they so this car warrior good and so I know the better so we better we are oh we will spend this car warrior more and in that oh in assess my warrior bit now meaning baby as say be it is a name my warrior good know say go a jamumi you know my motor. What I say, and then not so I never come in some kaka aside the spiritual, psychological, and the sociological foundation, no individual na mobile wareno, more rosa, also mutim plain pepe. And to send me do meeting based on my dream me as a counselor, no, our phobia ba. No more come prove our three foundations and three dimensions I measure. Our problem be age and move back. So for instance, Obama be a walk our room, nothing some can last week. Also tears I say, answer me wareno. I joining into the room say me rules and me could play me. The can say my husband, meaning I have an exclusive duty to my wife. Me I thought to say my father, me or responsibility like a father. Yes, why would not be a father? Father simply means Abba as a source. Muna niema free to me want to say me muna niema free to dey be a free me ba no. E me no say me sustaining. E me no say me protecting. E me no say me providing. It responsibility. It me nkware say oba ne mofra na emehwe me. Na mum me na me ko hye sa niema na e free me mu ba ni nyina. It me yere e masade. Me maye masade. Nti adwuma ne modern bo say me bo. So you must be a father, meaning I'm there to provide and protect my family. It simply means you're a father. You don't expose the weakness of your family. But what you say, and then you're also a spiritual head. Who you suffer more But what you say, so Sani Mammy and son with them be a better but crampo a better form. Our any woman, it's me too, so people know such so and a milk we say, Mass my warrior, then I know, or dimension as a husband, no, I break it. Because I want to say, my husband there, then you know the only person who will write to my body, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it said, was it the man does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. So it tells someone who is a husband, knowing this, that the authority over my body is my wife. On found carbon in the man. So be back as a milk from a chimical train, but I'm telling you, clearly, say. My husband, the rule as a husband, I tough him. We were telling us, oh, so but I'm missing him. Milk will show my friend, no, I'm a brain was a no. The rule as a father, no. I break it down. That's what I say. And me come this in so much on Paboko or movie we just say no who say no. The role as a pastor now then I break it. When you tell brother used to define the church. The first church in create here it was where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. There I am in. They dare worry a penalty as well. That's why even for you to qualify to become a pastor, Also, you must be a husband, and you must also have that aspect. Say, make me sure. So be it me and share the fear. Yeah, on qualified to be there. Or be sharing me. Sorry.
And then a Roman for ne.
Honey, they are different teaching altogether. And only be adapt from the 20 I teaching more. But me go to the poor, go to your first to was I didn't say to me show fear ye. So to me show fear dear. And then only to me so shame me. Sorry. But what I say. So the person says these are the rules Abema be performing. So I know baby also of these rules. And if I mean sister Abema be complain say and I may and I mean that and I may say no Obano rule as a wife. I break it down.
Obani no Adrian so.
Obani no then the motherhood not breaking up. So a woman must be a wife, a mother, and a prophetess. These are the 3 rules for every woman. Pastor says, so I worry no. You want to see in and never bring ya. A 2 bet master says, Kakama, and the fat convoy, the year worry who are. But so we need to see how they do a the more money I was spending and guarantee successful marriage. And I better so me them you for our ready new kua. Many me didn't question them young Kwani papa, my young worry, and also guarantees our in Bechina. You didn't see us yet, and a worry. It Amos Becker say most of our 3 was how can 2 work together? How can 2 marry except they agree? The fundamental way they worry ain't just yet. You must have the understanding of how of the things that are expected from you as a wife and a husband. When your auntie send the sister, say you use go and no guarantee. So whether marriage will collapse or not is dependent on the 2 individuals or more than or more arena. But what yes, so it's very important. Yes, sir. Now so we're crossing 2 days.
And now me who church about say Bema no so who say oh yeah father and son or your husband na prophet ni ade no. Who say ebi mo kwa aware mo expect say o tua bibia o say na yere so tua bibi foforo. Say bibi wo ho ebi a rent ni ade say ya na mema ne fato mo ho so. Eduane ni ade no we ka so because unim adwuma me ye unim se me nya sika bia san entino me ntimi entua rent no ensan so mouse ka enfan hwe ho enfan ton nyama man kwala no nyama ni nyina wo ho no me ya na se on pese on ne ayere no eche na eno so so na wo dia kan
na yere tina se a kire no mimi tua rent ntu tua nkra fees mimi yes a catch straight on you wa feel already. Now watch it. The whole concept me am shisha aware no God laid the foundation of leadership. Our young Cindy Huno, you see, the marriage is so deep, say, sometimes I wish that there's more time. Now, watch it. When some about the purpose of marriage, Nana, you will see clearly, say, marriage is more spiritual than the physical things I know. When I'm ready, maybe so from Romans chapter 1, verse 20. I can say, I dear be on the boy, he created the physical things I know to reveal his spiritual attributes. And never you feel so everything that you're creating is a representation of an invisible element. One of the things that our original home marriage explain about 3 spiritual dimensions. 1, the dimension of God. 2, the relationship of the Holy Spirit. And 3, the relationship of God and the church. It was a baby in America where once a man was a Bema door here, so the Christo does have no. Anytime the member Bower, they are not compare on it. Sorry, no. Yantia said the church. Spiritual church, our year and a revealing. And another way altogether, and I watch it. So the moment Yame born in the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, that was when marriage was created. Genesis 1:27. So marriage, Genesis 2, verse 18 going, the physical. So in the whole concept of creation, God created and God made. There were 2 things. So creation is done in the spiritual aspect. So everything Yame created. There was in the spiritual. He now came down to make a 2 year time, but was every year. But in the making process, no. Nipa na elas. Nipa by class ni ni never. And here we also meet maybe Genesis chapter 2. So you see clearly said, I did be a boy. So the first thing a boy in the book of Genesis 1:27. How did God create? He said, God created the man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. So he's defining the man. So the man here is not Bema. No. God is defining the man. The man created the man in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. So in Genesis chapter 1, the male and the female were together. They were together. So when we got to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, that was what the man, God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. That word alone here means all in one. That's where the separation came in. And when I may explain the relationship between marriage and the Holy Spirit, we need to understand how can the woman who is in the man, God is thinking, let me bring that woman out. It's for a reason. Now watch it. So God now brought the woman for the sake of fellowship. Are you getting me? Because as long as your child is in you, yes, you can talk, but you can't hear your child speaking to you. That's why, as a woman, fellowship is established. Now you can hear the baby cry. Now you can speak to the baby. So marriage is deep. Now watch it. So God brought the woman to establish it. It's the same thing the Holy Spirit. We read John chapter 14, verse 16. Was the Holy Spirit will be with you and be in you. That's how the Holy Spirit works. That's what most Christians today, because there are some who believe that those people should say me alone. No. It functions on two dimensions. He should be with you and be in you. That's what Jesus, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit was in him. Yet at a later date, before he started ministry, the Holy Spirit came down to be with him. Throughout in the Bible, we see say the Holy Spirit comes to be with you and be in you. Two ways, the same thing. So marriage, the woman was in the man, and later she came out to be with the man. That's why I told you, say marriage is more deeper than what we know. So now watch it. And in order to establish this relationship,
where is the country, Anna? I'm sorry, Sunday, maybe I know Sundays, and I Sunday.
I know Sunday. So, now maybe it's me. I'm saying in a swear bano. Kubet mama bond be money about together. Some kind, you know. But or train as no be your banner heading appear. The whole concept of marriage is about leadership. At my church, I was no other. So that it's not in the make so it's only in the context of marriage. And the make about said bro once. Throughout the Bible. So when you talk of submission, even in the Bible, God didn't say women submit to men. No. He said, wives submit to your own husbands. Only your husband. There's a reason for that. Because there's a relationship he has created. There's an order. As God is the head of the church, or Christ is the head of the church, so the man is the head of the family. A relationship, leadership. So if you admit that God has created me in this dimension and I have this authority, you don't go into marriage with the aim to say, the woman is supposed to be a helper. To call her, sit her down, maybe to your feet, and to cohabitation. You've broken the whole concept of marriage. So when you see any man telling the wife, you must pay this, you must pay that, that man is not supposed to be supposed to call yourself a husband. You're not. No, you are failed.
And see, you say contest, Bible contest, wife submit to your husband's statement. I say a bit more overlive it. Ebi mo over omo atiase amana bro so enti no ema se sana meka ne so omusu se entiase no wo ho se sana wo se enti ono onware okra no no enam kra o expect se obe submissive to ono ye betime aka se nyama we bi na lead to divorce yenyinya na
even the whole concept of submission just marriage the truth is a man member you create submission na say Nana, Pachuti, submission and we enter my share my counseling will be banner with a mamre and the interpreting Yamiasam. Yantia, submission and go to one way. It has nothing to do with that. No, it has nothing to do with that. Submission, no. Check when God was telling they want to submit. Check Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22. Wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord. You know what it means? You can only understand how to submit to your husband when you know how you are submitting to God. Because that's the relationship. So the whole concept is the way I was submitted to me, Radino, Sapa Pepper and Fakwa one. So those things are just other aspects. It doesn't even amount to submission. So you can only understand it when you know how to submit to God. That's all. So then ask yourself a simple question. How do I, Nana, and I said, and me, and Apaisua, me submit me ready. Who submit through prayer? One of the greatest elements is communication. I don't know that I said, man, says, and we are here, 99% of problems of our room. And first submission in the different contexts. Submission is the most easiest thing to do. The most easiest thing.
Submission, mirror, and mirror,
you move there, they come in rock up, and you watch go some there. One time, it has nothing to do with that. The whole relationship. And you can only understand marriage when you understand your relationship with God. That's the whole concept. So the first question you need to ask yourself, how do I submit to God? Okay. You submit to God through prayer, through worship, through giving. So all these elements, what we tell us, and it's the American first part in Ponemwa. Nyame on the ball, only Mubibia, only the other wall, only Mutrini. Yet, Okon name do hear some opportunity and no ferry. Doesn't make sense. But if you do it right, as in the Mabbe no Mukuma warrior, Nebel de Club Asua, no Asua for the nation so Bekaya, nation so Beka, want a submission, I said.
And also,
that's a concept. That's what I'm saying. You must only understand how do I submit to God. Now, transport those elements out there, listen. Father, which means I must learn how to communicate well with my husband. So, me can be chena, me kunwa we me be and a mission of fide. Me submissive wife.
You're not
getting my point. Yamin Bibia, you took on him to hear some. Well, here's only hear some. I said, God doesn't know your needs. But you still pray to him, telling him your need.
Because what told us, that's
the point. And what just for the same principle. What's I have this obligation because we won't.
Oh, there be.
But that's the point.
Oh, say, Apostle. Oh, can I say? I'll say it to you because I know one on say,
who said, who presented the masters, no, and you are trying to ask questions like them. But I'm saying, this shouldn't be a big deal. But you see, this is something you are doing crown call, so you are like, hey. Now the point is this: Nyamina only bibi no. That doesn't mean say me meaning say Bob Bashe, and you're still coming to tell me say Bob Bashe is not an insult to me. Menyefra. Say Nyamina only bibi ampo. You still go to him and tell him every day me heska. All this on heska. It's something he's teaching you. That's what I'm saying. So you can only understand submission when you understand your relationship with God. That's what God is saying. So submission now, mom rest here church so man word there. Enter between word there as of the market and another. But I'm not person who me. But me the baby no. We want to submission. I say the whole concept of submission is a relationship with you and God. Bring it to that level. The man is your ambassador.
Not just say only nyame ni relationship be and I say want to me.
That's what marriage is for everybody.
Okay.
No. Marriage is something that we are going anyhow. No? That's what I'm saying. The purpose of marriage, is deeper than what we know. We have reduced marriage to we having procreation, sex, and those things. But I'm saying, so we check the Bible now here. Marriage reviews is more spiritual than physical. It represents the whole concept of God, the whole concept, dimension of God on earth. Because that God who created the man in his image and likeness, created the woman in his image and likeness, and put his spirit in us. When we come together, our first purpose is to show the true dimension of God. Because you're missing the Bible, now you're seeing the Bible, now because he knows that marriage is supposed to reveal the true identity of God. And it's from day one. Because because make sure say our anything revealing your identity. And it say this says ever shower here so because the moment I have says no what break that dimension. What to yami say where yami esin che. Me when ka say our here ever page yami dey extra. You see, so that's why marriage has been under attack since day one. And a couple of months, our red are so under attack. And we don't know why. We think that no. The devil will make sure marriage don't reveal the identity of God. Marriage is so important to God than anything. Because they reveal you on our situation. And if they don't have some persons who are here, I say, according to your saying, you must see your husband in his image and likeness. You must see your wife in his image and likeness. So that when the two of you come together, you show the full dimension of God. And it's a whom you say, I'm a bronze son. May they whom you say, now so you see how our marriage are in there. Most people today, our marriage is not revealing God, it's revealing the devil. Yes, marriage is deep. So remember, so to understand salvation simply means now me on my way was look. She said maybe we will come back and treat that like I said. Look at them. The central call by man husbands, love your wives. Not to this one community problem. We will not can be a the power. Just as Christ loved the church. what we see as serious and na be be what see be also put together na sre boni for free. Why? Because no man be in ho betumi adone yere say na Yesu edo asafo no. You can't be by your strength. You know why? How the Christ, so the first question you need to ask yourself, how the Christ prototype. Don't love your wife just as you like. No. Love your wife just as Christ loved the church. There's a man. So you see why we are failing in our marriage. So when you're talking about divorce, it has nothing to do with no.
It's Apostle Sanado.
So the American so me when American say who tin am yes here then you know clearly say no be some makers of man or say now what just abishima then you have to learn how you relate to God. The same to about man also love your wife just as Christ loved the church. No man can do that. So you know what God is trying to do here? All he's trying to do, if indeed you understand marriage, the marriage should point you back to me,
to God.
That's the whole concept. Nobody can do it by his strength. So as a man, I need to go to the Lord. Teach me how you did it. In any case, you know, say me to me. I mean, it's not to me. And to me, if indeed it is a 10-year so easier, you don't need a helper. But Jesus told you, I'm giving you a helper. What it means, go and say, Lord, help me. Now let me show you something here. Now watch it. Sir. What is the issue that's afuna? Anything. Bro, so once we were yet sinners, bro, now sorry, no, that's the bone here for. Bro, now son, that's so boy, Jamai. Bro, now son, that's so boy, Braboni, Pono. Chris, so the woman, I am. Then I'm going to answer. What got to them at the chair, able to listen in there. To him, I say, so you see, so you cannot do it by your strength. That's where you now go back and say, Lord, help me. You pray for the Holy Spirit. I was
in, Lord, help me, but now me be some Mrs. Sanado.
I
And now you
can't do by yourself.
Hey, you.
It takes only the Spirit of God to help you. Nobody.
I think Apostle.
Even when I was a man of God, until Hong Kong could be a man share quotation was can you read in you? What's the name? So yes, I may share a kuma how meeting our domain. No, one coming no me send me pet. Name of commission was no. Do send your Christo and poor as suffering. Hey, come there no fast to dono.
Nama ko echa for Bible na ko review. To me yo. Boame yo. Yeah, bisa nyame mu ade na mejiri se wo so o hwe afa bibi Afrika na asenkomo a ye boy mu na wa me twa me ho ne enum nsuo mra na enum nsuo ne ba ye behwe Apostle say nyame adom wedu ho enti ye behwe se ne aye na ebimu so eka se eya na ebimu nkofo bebre na ewo aware boni mu ebia na mo nye de Apostle eken the Bible na aka se o se bema bia ye se okunu no ebimu enye so wobekọ no obi kwa kware ono e na o cancel omo die mpa e no mo ye eya na omo so omo ka ho bi na divorce no eba na eniama ben na omo kwa aware no mu wi ase sikeni o se hie ni o eniama ben na ye ya etumi ema aware no egu umai try ho ne emra sisi a ye ba ye beto aso.
Somebody in the car, ma'am. Why, yeah, you would. Oh, look at your boss. I'm going to consider that. Why are you like this? Oh, how can you free up with this here? A piano with penny food, so you different phone in here. My dassy hattie. A drove you meet me in 1 minute, never. Annieberry. Mammy, I'm back for this. This is Yowie. And I'm one of Yowie. We're driving. Jackson, a track capsule. Oh, how we now to a trap. Boss, Mississippi. Yeah, it's me corporate. I don't know why. Money has a book customer. Tomorrow.
Mema obi bia kwa ba biom ye twa ye ho aba na nkomo na na eguso aye bo ye heard the 21st century wedding and divorce na if you had a twa mu no na many apostle edi dan nkomo ye share with weddings aye hu nansen ene niama etimi ma weddings na ye de aye sisi as a pressure bi wo ho sa na afi nkomo na kwa kodu be bia divorce nso ebe mu ya hwe niama bi e ma divorce means a submission no adebakwa o se ye nina ye ni ekohu na eno no se na apostle kan no ebe ma nyankopon ani onyam e na ade adi na wante sanyama we ni na ase na che se wono ni nyankopon eni bia papa relationship papa bia sanso e na waware anasa wono wo yeri anasa wono wukunu eta onde ebe kwa akoye na ye betwa so ne yahwe wa wo hwe ofie so apese ubisa asema na so apese odi bi ka ho no ekwan wo ho na unya ho to me efre na yeni nkomo no ebia nice e asebisa so akwan ho to me efre na we bisa instead na meba apostle so apostle say de be ko akwakọ wie ni na echi no dia ewo ma obekan ni say rade boami if you say untumi enfa wan kasa wa ho de enye I just on wan kasa abemu ama you apostle ya hra eniama foforo a etimi ema eye aware etimi egu say 21st century denti ena nkofo be kasa aware shepe de na se nche na akwakugu ya na tete no yenim se obi kwa aware a enche na se ye hwe se obefefu na nkora abemu ni ade ebi kwatimi gina so na ebi mo abaware fofora ma dindindin na se niam asesa nti niam be mpa na etimi ema 21st century wedding no etwe nkofo adwe ni omaso ni omanu nyina ma obi akasa we de enche ebegu
yeah see eba na aware go na America no ye onema bebre na ye mobo bi so time maybe ready we do no aware bebre sha say good the time I share counseling I say because most counselors plan anti aware say now the rules about marriage is always in the context of marriage. So for instance me 20 CA musa na me share abonten na me the blue ball see ya one report ko bi jancho to team police be den ebechemi but da wo be decide so person ye bossa me so me ye bossa se me no kodina ring mu a me bo ma moja fu hwim kra ba nana ye be sa boyensem ama me atua meka and the crown na o de ba bonten a ye crime no me ye wo bossing ring mu a ye tua meka but uti so ye didn't see na worry to say there are rules and that rules can only be understood in that context of marriage. What the Babon team be checking, it doesn't make sense. But and to your counselor now who counsel comfort I say every marriage is unique. Tie some me no worry and to cry your becono. Only be my for a Santa Concam could be that. And even means I say, baby, and Yamaka and Mamma was it. What we show baby was me, them Bremen was him, so only the friend of us. So only the friend of us, I can't come with that. So, bro, what do you here? Now, no answer. What's it, bro? What's it, ma? You can only explain this, Nana. When you do the pay, and the one pay. Tiania Pau, you can only explain this when you know what your husband likes. So nyamina yesum no no pese yesum ye ntino wo se day one and na asema yen so woni nyame sam dada woni de nyame pe ene de onye den woni se na bi ho nyankopon pe be wo kebetuna asom bo so bia na bo so ani je ho pa ana me boa onu nyame won probo bi pe sa na wa yete wo betimi ni ma nante nana eniema wo ya me nkasa no wo ko be ma wo fo be kasa wo mu ade. Why? Because Abrabona ye will be free but tia or denam. Baby or not trust ne papa ne mama tena ye no. Ye no dia need be sit tables nana. Near the laser catas need na kunya so. No to the tower good ne boso. E to who papa yes say wow me mama boom papa o. Et ninti as of respect. And say oba why say. Me baby am tena na me try dey was na me church him say look. Et na ni ma na me homeboy. It's me me to pick anyway. It's me na me nyam ti be she mbotomu a. Me wen say dem we chin gram. To boss man ka boss o. E na me di. Say yet nana after the near table super dem. So from me ba no. E dan ni kitchen kwa na ka se me kwa no kodina wa kodi. Na na dey wi o. E tu be ware me a. Wa ho brase a dey ma me na nothing to do with the near this table so. Me ni problem o ho. Hame opeka I don't even care say me ba na di besi o me ni na di besi o ba na di besi o dey hear some dey na besi o
dey ni sabe nkum na di besi o
na wono aba ware no dey onim say say ni ya me ya entu your ba na be ka ware ma ware gina dey also otumi hu ni say be ma ya wote hoyi because ono and you head of department. Some you do am head of department. And bosom and afesu ne you praiser, you flow praiser former. O head. Who can Ephesians chapter 5 now say, why submit your own husband? As the Lord say, we should know that the husband is the head of the family. And to spiritually, the original winning, I represent two in the spiritual realm. And the person who said, now to way, who will be a bro once, who will be a boy, the Musa, no, Musa, to I can't even open the phone. It's a 7 woman. And to a baby and tears, you say, Wahobra seeing the general ones I tell no. You can only do this in the context of your marriage. So do you know your husband well? Who do you pay? Any they won't pay. How make us a counsellors are failing? So your counsellor now wants to say, then in every teacher who you be your concentration, I was sending from you new so for your mom over. Now counsellor never planning time. And I'm not ready. Me me here be no kitchen. Na me twitwa de na buwa no. Enti so kwe. Also to buwa we na na. We kwa ware no. Uni get here. Adami me ware me here. A me call kitchen ke di contable me trim. What's I say? We come here front in the time. Until then no pay. Two was I a caterer, professional one. Now didn't tia say me nyina e friends a kitchen. Me nye free na me noa. Me de besi wo me di ma me na me ninje. Me chinja ka kitchen wo me kincha me name. Na cancer fair ya. The no ya ma na yere no. E no de be tse na wo do ma ware already. That's why most counselors are breaking marriages. Marriage no enye between no yere. E wasa na moka. E between na and come attack. To teach them no understand the na free. Understand the comment of you. The strengths and the weakness ni say. Ni ntiase ni say ni upbringing ni say the nurturing. Dear no who say respect. Me mo who say respect no. So na who na na be do pay bia so be ma be ka say who mume. So marriage should always be or explain in the context of marriage.
Papa boni say counselor no e de ne ho be ye mfato ho ama. Omo cancel omo. Say bia no na ye adwuma ma na no so say bia ya.
Say me say ka bi kire me ko twa de ne me ko de ne na ka yabu mi.
Okay.
That's some more example. So the matter say nyawo oba na oto nyawo cancel no be ware. Be ma na oto nyawo ye na obe ware no. Enti de no man ka bi bi ncho. One time me call me boss am ne ye adwuma ho. Me do fe no o se ne ye ne ma. Me na me re ne koi. O se ne ye ne ma ba me nim no. Ono so nyina osinya mama fa obi kwesi ne mama na enya ne fe o ware ne osire yere ne mama fa o so ono ne de sine yere ne mama eti na ware ni na probe wo mu ye ne masi aka no asofo dada hwe bibi o me so ade a me mpa ye ne masi nana so can you imagine so no ebe counselor no de ne ho de be chia say me kura me sim ne yere ne mama eti so kokoso yere bo ma ware ye I get in the point here. So it's not just about say what do who example, but in the context I want to who example no. Baby out tonight, what about pay out your tonight? Money or two, but you free back. And to see the man, I want to hold the free back. And to that's what says every marriage. The first principle to counsel is that you should know that every marriage is unique. It's not about you. You're not the one going to marry the woman. And to see nipa na say, "Aye nipa mienu." Anytime the counsel say, wife, submit to your own husband. And the me who say respect, maybe who can who say normal. The me who say respect who say unwadie. It is over to brown house there. Who can also say. So the job of a counselor is to identify the two of you. And internet we talk near chama about temperament. Who two so be a melancholic. No, will be a choleric. What are the tendencies that struggles anyway? You pick what you say? Na your baby name so say o yiri so we na dey man hana because o melancholic no. Omo dey some here dey show mumu. What you say? Omo train here now. It was a choleric. Who betimi obomo ni so na wo call there but e be taking months now ban ko free ni mu. So you need to explain it in the context of these two people. Not me name here. Because the other one baby o yiri sanguine. Ade sanguine for ye no mama mo yes. Omo mo for somebody. E tu ni sanguine ni ba ware a e promo ne woda. Me what or melancholic on body. And to whom said and don't tell us virgins no. And to whom said say a juma. And to know come back to assessing. And to be drama do compare. Because mammy or two Nancy was says different.
Apostle mammy Mr. Tetano near say ukọ ware say be apostle ukọ akọ ube ware me a nya wo na o ba be di machi na ebusia be hwehwemu ni ade ni na nti ebusia ne hwehwemu ano mo makoma tom yem se o ebusia ya nana ekomu yi apostle ebusia na ye pe yare bia ni ho nsensem bia ni ho ni ade nti eya na me ne wo pa de ye hyedan nanti bebre bia sa ba enhyehyɛ na akoso ewo ebusia mienu ni mu na no na ya ba be ware no you don't really get the time me the best you wo so ubehu nipa kra me ye dia me pene dia me mpe unlike nansen me mehu ebia me hu apostle me say o nansen apostle de me nije no apostle so ne nije mu yetumi nantia 7 years bi 7 years 10 years omo steady omo ho enso eya no empenifo ko omo ka say ene dia na ware de ba pe no na say but tete na nka bibisa eni ho na mo nhada nantie hu mu hu no asa ya na enunu etumi gina pa eden na ma eba ne se apostle na me say ofrefo ejina se ma me ne enkasa asa na ma ba so hello yeah hello me ma kwaba odo hello yeah mpa cho temenka
bana
e wa cho
ko be ye mente kansa
wa cho se
bana mti ko be ye amente
enim se ya kind of man be ya he why yo na mama okay obi foforo ejina so ejo wuso me ma akwa baba wasem to senso
ya na mama na me jabu de ne nkoma ye mo di na no pe na me jabu ho ga ta kete fi awaye eta se u bi ta papa to ba ni tete fo no okwan a o fa so a awofo ehwe oba de ma ga no o da tete no na nya mi so no na me fa te ku se mo no so no ta ta pra ya so bo kai na o mu ni na bi so no mo fa pa po do ni e o pra o mu ni te do se o we te no mo tie o mu ye tikitiki o mu ye boko wo mu ti sei ya le we ni ho enti ta papa ne ma me no e ti bi akate le ba fa ta be ma we ya na o ba we ya ayapa mo ba wa mu ja problem ta na o te futuo ne kata tena baka no ni no mo ba ta wa ya na fu bi aba na o ba ta ma na wo telefon na o ma ni ake na bi kwale te tre university ka se o ko iti o ni so ni na ta te ma ame e ta to ke blofu o ni na ta te papa e ta to ka blofu e ti ta wa ya no pra no social media so do ko nya o ba na be ba ni ta ni pa we awari ya nya no pra ho mu ni enu ti ya me hu ye na ye ti ta de te pa ni pa ti a de na mo aye Nyame shrown so ye da se jewsu me da se bebre yo en mama ma so apostle question ya me bi say yi say
I think so dey back one tete for most of them make so mu nyina but most of them no mo te say matoma chirem na ware ne foundation nyensa enti no mu say nipa before ye ma be ware no ye hwe hu to no kro nim nyame no okro ne bosom wo kɔhwɛ wachi hu ehu baby e wufri ne di wachi asomo hu say mumienu monte ase sansa na ba we say marriage the third way is sociological abushia wu komi if you komi ye no mo etem practicing ye no bushia enti omo they were fulfilling the three elements American but another day one of the things I'm going to say in America was it what they about a woman sex before marriage is the only element it me breaking the three foundations nina okay because she oba and abema na me ne da as me warrior my breaking the three foundations to already warrior no head na egu kwanso pacho tinti nyame na oni nya so born na warrior no aso bia any phone was me phone water resistance it was try manual me found two shoe Pastor Uti, who direction as men are matter to the two soon. Now the two so na you so you do blame young couple. No. We need to central man to the Bible man one ana. Never about women man or excel. Send me born about the any the best say. Answer now we call the tossing you my men kwa man so na me do be enkasa. Me ma kwa ba medo.
Yeah.
Yo, mpacho ma enti yo.
The one.
Pacho say
am brother.
Offer no, me say, me producer, be in efiso na the offer or canome say na member also for so na.
Nana, our beer go through stages. And also, I never can hear him. But you would our beer, your 7 stage come. It will be our year good. I mean, to it, I'm over. Not me to me to match as I the stage when you go here. Nipper be bringing sad. Nipper beer share or beer, say your banner share bemo. Yes, something that first from the passion stage. A honor and I think a picture, but for you are engrossed in yourself. Nipper take over your mind. One thing a cow won't talk. What you say, just say, Nipper up for what you know, coma. Who will call one with the edge? And I'm to me, Castle, a cat or cat, also cat, will be a team captain. And I'm a friend of Donna, and I know a passion. Patrioty, a passion, no, the young friend, a true teacher said, they said, you're not to call. Missing one chance here. You are just all fat passion. And an emotional way I buy now as love. Love is a decision. Love goes beyond emotion. Love is a decision. Your 15 elements and you come boom as when you love. We back when you love. Mine was training that. Or say, although I but threat. No, there also love does not fail, although infail. Because what take decision say now what way my who is strength, my who is Niamot, my who is center. That's me remember this time some day. A decision. Baby, so that in Canada. No, na nipa no just say one for kwana to na kan ka so be no one fa now who take to passion obi a go through it and so you suffer so when you need so you abofra onya no obi into relationship na nipa no dey say wadwene say king you fall it some hormones they find feel good syndrome and to obi and nipa bi nya sa ten kan the woman every day to me one day. Every day 1 month, every day 6 months, every day 1 year. Abro so 3 years abetiako. And intra baby at the time on be nana. No ma worry me divorce stage. It's almost be worry.
I say answer my worry
because the more I want ni panic yes psychology out here say now you a consequence says from the pan nana. You are ready to pay any amount for water. Already at now so now we must satisfy where you are. The second the man I quite talk out nje. Because you are satisfied and here. Any pursue way. I
can't see mama who put na ya so opposite.
So that stage we come anymore year after 3 years muno. Depending on what their level no. Who move the let's say from the realization stage. And when a reality as a team. Who say baby say love is blind. At that stage first stage passion no. Nipa na from so cry how. Because why you say the obey man nipa na anya je na wo twene ho. At that stage who need the nipa to yama. It's a war show. So I said, who be here? I'm an Indian and a bit to some other cotton panties, brazier. Now, a man be to Tobasa short, and then my credit card, Emma, a stage.
Yo, I also say a stage until we are LFM or Honum. Na common name is a Hannah, Yedibeti, and Merna and Merano, and Apostle. See, my make on Facebook, Simaba Copena, messages be about Pel Ekialabi say, bless you, Apostle. I'm watching live from Paraku Estate. Now, obviously, great discussion, Eunice Labi. Great discussion. I am really enjoying the show. Yeah, that's to say, mo friend ni na so yeah, that's ne efra mo friend ne insembisa mo bisa ye. Nyankopon eye ya doma efiada nso eye ada foforo. Efiada ye ne nkomo ye de nkomo foforo kra ene be hye so. Na ansa na meka wase na Apostle me dase bebre say ne so. Oba ye dase nti ase no so aye adwuma pa megidi say ya bon komo na ewie de amafa no obi so be fa bi efiri mu omo check shocks ni ade no meja shocks ni check submission ni ade ni na ye beti ase ye na answer na we kwa wari mu no hese wa wari stage na ndu divorce stage answer na o kwa wari Apostle me dase bebre na ye sanso sere Yakobon so ma honde na fatumi eye na adwuma why yo nyame adoma e be sanso ehia ewo wasem tesen dwumedie so me bo so say akoraketu bi e friend say Gabriel enya eye hole in heart na Kolebu hospital eye doctor for ho eje $9,000 e de aye surgery e de ama abofrey na mesre obi bia o he wasem tesen dwumedie say kakra bi a wo wa obetimi e de aboa ama yetimi ahwe Gabriel ama wotimi atena abaye nipa titru bi ewo omayi mu me pacho ye nina me sro bibia se betimi aye numbers no go screens no so 0591557789 ewo screens no so kakra bi a wo bia betimi asende na ye de aboa efiada nyame ye adoma Gabriel ene nebusuafo ana ene nawofo ebeba studio ha ama wahu se enye ntro be mi nim se sisi ade apo adoso enye ntro bi na ye twa ba Gabriel beba show ne so na wahu no na afa dia ye ka no so wate ase ye be pa doctor fo o mo so mo te yare na se aba be chechire mu akyerɛ ba ade ba kwa ma fa firi mu ne se ya na usa ase omo hare omo se ometimi aye ne we abenya nkwa ba eya na wunyi a ehye owa na omo nim na udinyi a eya na edin se omo do omo nsaka kra na ubetimi atina na se ubenya nkwa nti yesre obibia yensa da yensa ma yesre mu ni na se kakra mo wa metimi e de aboa Gabriel no mo ma yenso yemfa entumo mu ni mu na doctor fo de omo kan eboye hu kra na se we di 2 enche obedi 3 e wo se ye operation yansa na we mfie miensa me do obi bias me da abafo ni na ase abafo amutumi eso ya se ma di dwumede bel step to Christ Herbal Center perfect skin and body therapy chanka asate roofing sheet and cookware yeda obi bia ase joy day sanitary pad so yeda mo ase me da me technical team ase me mrantie no me guys no yeda mo ni na ase efo me da ase me da me director name me producer so ase nyakopon ya doma efiada ye besan so ehia e wasem te senju medie so me din de nana aponso a makra mo ni na